Good morning, my Facebook family and my YouTube family. My name is Denise Nicola, and I'm here to talk to you about a problem I had for 10 years actually, not 12. And there's some of you who are struggling with this. I see a lot of news reports about this. I see advertisements from companies telling people how they can help them. And I just wanted to talk to you about what was going on in my life. I struggled with anxiety and depression for 10 years, probably more, but I can track 10 years because the reason I track 10 years is because I noticed that my income took a massive dip. And I'm in sales, so you get recognized on what you sell. All right, but before that, take a look at what I get to experience this morning. Look at the lake, the ducks. This is my favorite place to come. It calms me. It helps me to be inspired by God and how God works with nature. If you don't believe in God, look at nature. But anyway, so I'll tell you my backstory. So I noticed that I had major anxiety. I didn't feel motivated. I couldn't get myself to think properly. I felt, they call it brain fog now, but at the time I didn't know what it was. But I just remember that the only thing that would ease it was drinking one Red Bull every day. And I would drink that Red Bull every day and it would help me to get it through the work and get through the business. But that tight feeling was still in my chest and my solar plexus. And I didn't know exactly what to do to get it out. But, I really, I just kept praying. And in the mornings I'd wake up and I felt like my limbs were heavy. I would cry every morning. But one thing my husband did, he was so wise, he would always hug me and tell me how much he loved me every single morning. And he has done that for 15 or 14 years, however long we've been together. Anyway, and it was so bad that my business was failing. And I prayed and I read a book. I don't remember the name of the book, but it was something about prosperity by Marilyn Jeanette. And she said in the book that within 48 hours, no, within 2 weeks of reading the book, your prosperity would come. I did not know that prosperity would be in a phone call from my brother, who we always would talk. And every time we spoke, we said, oh, we'll talk to each other every day. I can't wait to talk to you every day. And we never did. But then he called and he and I started talking every day. And I would have these panic attacks, anxiety. I would just be going from maybe bipolar, because I was diagnosed at one point as being bipolar. And, but my brother, he would just love me and work with me. And he would say, he said to me, you're fat. And I was like, what? He's like, you're overweight. This is not the sister that I know. You got to work out. And every day he would beat me on the head, and not so lovingly sometimes, to go work out. So eventually he would say, how many days did you work out? 2. Then the next week, how many days did you work out? 3. And then to the point where it started to become a habit. And what I noticed that was whenever I worked out, the brain fog lifted. So I was getting the Red Bull effect without the damage to my body. And by then my business had already crumbled. And anyway, I'm working through it, but now I've developed the habit of exercising, and I'm feeling good just by taking care of me. But I still had this depression, anxiety. I was still getting up and crying every morning, feeling like I was not enough, feeling defeated, those things that come with that feeling. In fact, when he had called me, it was so bad I considered suicide. I considered it once, if not once a week, twice a month, or it was once a month. I remember driving by a church and I felt so bad that I thought about it. And the sign on the church said, God wants you. And I thought, why would God want me? But anyway, I'm exercising and I'm asking God to help me. If he would help me with this problem, I would serve him. I would work for him. And I remember as clear as day, something dropped in my spirit and said, the problem is your gut. And I thought, my gut? And I started looking up the gut, and I stumbled upon a quote by Hippocrates. In 500 AD, he was a doctor, and he said, all diseases start in the gut. And I started researching, and I realized I had something called leaky gut. And leaky gut means that you have holes in your intestine, and the waste is going into your bloodstream. And some of the symptoms were anxiety, depression, etc. So I went home. I said, baby, I think I found what it was. And I started, goodness gracious, I started to eat foods that help with the gut, like kimchi and sauerkraut. Well, maybe not sauerkraut, but kimchi. And it got better. And then I realized also when I went to the doctor that my vitamin D levels were 9. People, to have a healthy vitamin D, you need to have 150. Okay? It was 9. And one of the side effects of a low vitamin D was depression. Also, it can lead to cancer. In addition to that, I was getting these welts on my body, and I thought, I was afraid. I lived in fear of having cancer. All right? And I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to go to the doctor. And the doctor had told me I had allergies, and I was like, I don't get allergies. Well, the leaky gut had caused all these problems. The nutrients were not getting into my body. I had all these allergies, and I was eating the food that was making me sicker. Every day I was poisoning myself, and I was trying to figure out how to fix this. And one day my husband said, you got to read this book. This book helped a famous celebrity, Kelly Clarkson, to lose a lot of weight. You got to read it. And I bought the book and held on to it for 2 weeks and did not read it. And every day, like my brother, he would beat me over the head to read it. And finally, I read it. And I felt as if someone understood me, because I kept telling people what I was experiencing, but they didn't understand because they weren't experiencing it. And I felt like I was lazy. I felt I wasn't enough. But what I realized, it wasn't that I was lazy, was because I was poisoning myself with the food I was eating. So my brain couldn't function and my body was inflamed, because depression is also a sign of inflammation. And my body was fighting to keep itself alive. So brain function probably was the last thing on its mind. But anyway, I read the book, implemented what he told me, and immediately I could think again. I was able to get up earlier. I woke up inspired every morning. Things started to click, and I felt so good. I felt God every morning. I would get up dance. I still do get up dancing every morning. If I feel down about something, it only lasts for a minute or two and I'm over it. I work through it in my brain. It's not days and weeks and months like it used to be. Before, thoughts would play over and over in my brain. Now it rarely happens. And only time I get the symptoms again is when I cheat. And I realized that cheating wasn't helping me. So I decided to stick to what he told me, because it does make a difference. So I'm going to post the book below, and I'm going to give you a list of foods on the next blog that cause the anxiety and depression. I hope this helps you. I hope this make a difference for you. And remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you what has happened to me and how my life has improved. I'm telling you, my life has improved so much, guys. I'm reading 6 books at the same time. And before you ask me, how do I do that? Remember when you were in school and you had to take 4 subjects at a time and read different books for different things? It's the same way. All right? Love you all. Here's to your health.